14-year-old Tyler Chen stood at the Family Feud podium wearing a baseball cap that covered the brown wig he had grown accustomed to over the past 5 years, his thin frame carrying the quiet dignity of someone who had learned to find strength in places most teenagers never need to look. The bright studio lights felt warm against his pale skin, a welcome change from the harsh fluorescent lighting of hospital rooms that had become his second home since he was 9 years old. Beside him stood his mother, Jennifer Chen, 41 years old, and carrying the exhaustion that comes from 5 years of being both parent and primary caregiver to a child fighting leukemia. Jennifer had learned to read Tyler's energy levels, to recognize the subtle signs of fatigue that meant he needed rest, and to celebrate the small victories that marked progress in a battle that had redefined their understanding of what it meant to be grateful for ordinary moments. When Steve Harvey asked the question that would lead to one of the most hopeful moments in Family Feud history, Tyler's answer came from the deepest well of longing a 14-year-old could access. "What is your biggest wish?" "To live without cancer," Tyler said simply, his voice steady despite the emotion behind it. "I've been fighting leukemia for 5 years, and I just want to be a normal teenager. I want to go to high school without worrying about treatment schedules. I want to play sports again. I want to stop thinking about whether every cold might be dangerous because my immune system is compromised." The Family Feud studio fell into the kind of respectful silence that comes when 300 people simultaneously recognize they are witnessing a teenager's profound courage in the face of a disease that had stolen half of his childhood. This wasn't just a game show answer, it was a young cancer patient's honest expression of his deepest hope for a future he wasn't sure he would get to see. Steve Harvey felt his chest tighten with emotion as he looked down at Tyler, understanding immediately that this young man was fighting a battle that required more courage than most adults would ever need to summon. As someone who deeply valued family and understood the preciousness of health, Steve could barely imagine the strength it took for Tyler to maintain hope after 5 years of uncertainty about his own future. "Let me take you back to how we got here." Tyler Chen had been 9 years old when persistent fatigue and recurring fevers led to devastating news. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, what was supposed to be 3 years of treatment, had stretched into 5, as Tyler's cancer proved resistant to standard protocols. The physical challenges had been compounded by social isolation. Tyler had missed months of school, couldn't participate in sports, and watched classmates grow up while he spent time in hospitals. The hair loss from chemotherapy had been particularly difficult. The wig he wore was a constant reminder of his illness. David, Tyler's father, had struggled with the stress and eventually left when Tyler was 12. The divorce had been finalized 6 months ago, leaving Jennifer to manage Tyler's care alone while dealing with overwhelming medical bills. "Sometimes I wonder if all this treatment is worth it," Tyler had told Jennifer during a particularly difficult period. But despite his exhaustion, Tyler consistently chose to keep fighting and even helped other children in the cancer ward. The most recent treatment had been Tyler's last chance for remission with conventional therapies. If it failed, they would need experimental treatments far from Seattle. The Family Feud opportunity had come through Make-A-Wish Foundation. Tyler had been a fan of Steve Harvey since childhood, and appearing on the show had given him something to look forward to during his most recent chemotherapy. Jennifer had been supportive, hoping the experience would give Tyler confidence while raising awareness about childhood cancer. Tyler was excited, but worried about having enough energy to participate fully. During the flight from Seattle to Atlanta, Tyler had been thoughtful and somewhat anxious, not about appearing on television, but about the medical test results that would determine whether his most recent treatment had been successful. Dr. Kim had drawn blood for comprehensive testing the day before they left, and the results were expected while they were in Atlanta. "Mom," Tyler had said as they checked into their hotel, "do you think Dr. Kim will call with good news or bad news? Do you think I'll finally be in remission, or do you think we'll have to try experimental treatments?" Jennifer had held Tyler's hand, understanding that he was carrying anxiety about his future that made the excitement of appearing on Family Feud feel bittersweet. "Tyler, whatever Dr. Kim tells us, we'll handle it together. And right now, let's focus on having fun and showing everyone what an incredible young man you are." The Family Feud studios had been energizing for Tyler in ways that surprised both him and Jennifer. The bright lights, the enthusiastic audience, the energy of television production, everything about the environment had felt alive and exciting to a young man who had spent too much of his adolescence in sterile medical environments. During the family introductions, Tyler had presented himself with the honesty and maturity that cancer treatment had taught him. "I'm Tyler Chen," he had said clearly. "I'm 14 years old, and I'm from Seattle. This is my mom, Jennifer, and I've been fighting leukemia for 5 years. I'm hoping this is my last treatment, but we don't know yet." The audience had responded with warm, supportive applause, and Steve had immediately understood that Tyler's story represented something profound about courage and hope. "Tyler, first of all, you are incredibly brave for being here and for fighting this battle for 5 years," Steve had said, his voice carrying genuine respect. "How are you feeling right now?" "I'm feeling pretty good today," Tyler had replied with a small smile. "The medicine makes me tired a lot, and I don't have as much energy as other kids my age, but I'm grateful for every day I feel well enough to do normal things." Steve had been impressed by Tyler's maturity and perspective.
That's a beautiful attitude, son.
"What's been the hardest part about having cancer as a teenager?" Tyler had considered the question thoughtfully. "Missing out on normal teenage stuff, I guess. I've never been to a school dance or played on a sports team or had a girlfriend. Sometimes I feel like everyone else got to keep growing up while I got stuck in hospitals and treatment centers." The audience had murmured with sympathy and respect, recognizing Tyler's honest assessment of what cancer had cost him during crucial developmental years. The game had progressed with Tyler participating enthusiastically, despite his obvious fatigue. His intelligence and quick thinking, sharpened perhaps by years of having to understand complex medical information, made him an excellent contestant. The Chen family was playing against the Rodriguez family from Texas, and both teams had been supportive and encouraging, understanding that Tyler's presence represented something extraordinary. During the second round, when Steve asked for things that require courage, Tyler had buzzed in with fighting cancer, earning the #1 spot on the board, and a meaningful look from Steve, who understood that Tyler was speaking from profound personal experience about what courage actually meant. But it was during the fourth round that the moment arrived that would create one of the most hopeful experiences in Family Feud history. Steve had announced the survey question with his usual energy, not knowing that he was about to ask something that would touch Tyler's deepest longing. "What is your biggest wish?" The question hung in the studio air, and for a 14-year-old who had spent 5 years fighting for his life, while watching his peers experience normal adolescence, the answer was immediate and heartfelt. Tyler had stepped up to the microphone with the confidence of someone who had learned that speaking truth was important, especially when that truth might help other people understand what children with cancer experience. "To live without cancer," Tyler had said, his voice carrying clearly across the studio. "I've been fighting leukemia for 5 years, and I just want to be a normal teenager. I want to go to high school without worrying about treatment schedules. I want to play sports again. I want to stop thinking about whether every cold might be dangerous because my immune system is compromised." The studio had fallen completely silent. This wasn't just a game show answer. It was a young cancer warrior's honest expression of his deepest hope for a future free from the disease that had defined his adolescence. Steve Harvey slowly set down his index cards. Something in Tyler's tone, in the way he had spoken about wanting to live without the shadow of cancer, told him that this was a moment requiring more than standard game show response. "Tyler," Steve said gently, "that's not just a wish. That's a prayer that I think everyone in this studio is praying with you right now. Tell us more about what it would mean to you to be cancer-free." Tyler looked at his mother, who gave him an encouraging nod, understanding that this was Tyler's truth to share and his hope to express publicly. "It would mean I could think about my future instead of just surviving each treatment," Tyler explained, his voice growing stronger as he spoke about something he rarely discussed openly. "I could apply to colleges, I could learn to drive, I could ask a girl to a dance without worrying about whether I'll be too sick to go. I could stop taking 20 pills every day and stop getting blood drawn twice a week." The audience murmured with emotion and respect, many people wiping their eyes as they recognized the profound weight Tyler had been carrying throughout his adolescence. I want to become a pediatric oncologist so I can help other kids fight cancer, Tyler continued. But first, I just want to win my own fight and prove that kids can beat this disease. But what happened next was something that no one in the studio, not Tyler, not Jennifer, not even the producers had anticipated. During Tyler's emotional explanation, a woman backstage had been crying and making urgent phone calls. Dr. Sarah Kim, Tyler's pediatric oncologist, had been in Atlanta for a medical conference and had attended the Family Feud taping as a surprise for Tyler. She had received Tyler's latest test results that morning and had been waiting for the right moment to share news that would change everything. While Tyler was speaking about his wish to live without cancer, Dr. Kim was backstage with test results that contained the answer to his deepest prayer. "Steve," Dr. Kim whispered into the host's earpiece, "I'm Dr. Sarah Kim, and Tyler's oncologist from Seattle Children's Hospital. I have Tyler's test results from this week, and I need to share them with him immediately. This is the news he's been waiting 5 years to hear." Steve's eyes widened as he understood the magnitude of what was being offered. This wasn't just a game show anymore. This was about to become one of the most joyful moments in medical television history. "Tyler," Steve said, "there's someone here who has been taking care of you for 5 years, and she has something very important to tell you. Dr. Sarah Kim, would you please come out here?" Tyler's face lit up with surprise and confusion as he saw Dr. Kim approaching from backstage. "Dr. Kim? What are you doing here? Did something happen with my test results?" Dr. Kim approached Tyler with tears in her eyes and a folder containing the medical results that represented 5 years of hope, struggle, and unwavering determination. "Tyler," Dr. Kim said, her voice shaking with emotion, "I received your test results this morning, and I flew here immediately because this news couldn't wait. I need you to sit down." Tyler looked at his mother with growing anxiety, convinced that Dr. Kim's presence meant bad news that couldn't be delivered over the phone. "Tyler," Dr. Kim continued, "your blood work, your bone marrow biopsy, your imaging studies, everything shows that you are in complete remission. You have no detectable cancer cells in your body. You beat it, Tyler. You won." Tyler stared at Dr. Kim for several seconds, unable to process what he had just heard. "What do you mean I won? Are you saying I don't have cancer anymore?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," Dr. Kim replied, tears streaming down her face. "You are officially in remission. Your cancer is gone." What happened next was one of the most emotionally powerful moments ever captured on television. Tyler's face broke into a smile that seemed to light up the entire studio as the reality of Dr. Kim's words began to sink in. "Mom," Tyler shouted, turning toward Jennifer, "did you hear that? I don't have cancer anymore. I'm in remission." Jennifer rushed to Tyler and pulled him into the tightest hug of his life, while the studio audience erupted in applause that wasn't typical game show celebration, but pure joy for a young warrior who had finally won his battle. But Tyler wasn't finished processing this life-changing news. He turned back to Dr. Kim with wonder and disbelief still evident in his expression. "Does this mean I can stop taking chemotherapy? Does this mean I can go to regular school? Does this mean I might actually get to be a normal teenager?" "Yes to all of that," Dr. Kim replied. "You'll need regular monitoring for the next several years, but you can stop intensive treatment. You can go back to school full-time. You can play sports if you want to. You can think about your future instead of just fighting to survive." Tyler then did something that surprised everyone in the studio. He reached up and pulled off his baseball cap, then slowly removed the brown wig he had worn for 2 years, revealing his naturally bald head to the cameras and audience. "I don't need to hide anymore," Tyler said, his voice filled with newfound confidence. "I survived cancer, and I'm not ashamed of how I look. This is what a cancer survivor looks like." The studio audience rose to their feet in unanimous applause, not just recognizing Tyler's medical victory, but celebrating his courage in claiming his identity as a survivor rather than hiding behind artificial hair. Steve Harvey then did something that would become one of the most meaningful moments in Family Feud history. He removed his suit jacket, his lucky jacket that he wore to every taping, and approached Tyler. "Tyler," Steve said, his voice thick with emotion, "this jacket has been with me for every show I've hosted, but today it belongs with someone who just proved what real strength looks like. You didn't just beat cancer, you showed everyone what it means to fight with hope instead of fear. He placed the jacket around Tyler's shoulders. You wear this to remember that you are not just a survivor, you are a warrior who won the biggest battle anyone can face. Tyler pulled the jacket closer around himself, then looked directly into the cameras. To all the kids out there fighting cancer right now, don't give up. It's hard, and it's scary, and sometimes you want to quit, but you can win. If I can beat leukemia after 5 years, you can beat whatever you're fighting too. The studio erupted in the longest applause in Family Feud history. 300 people, recognizing that they had witnessed something extraordinary about hope, determination, and the miracle of medical science combined with human courage. What happened after the camera stopped rolling became a story of new beginnings, fulfilled dreams, and the transformation from patient to advocate. Tyler returned to Seattle as a cancer survivor rather than a cancer patient, enrolling in high school for his sophomore year and experiencing normal teenage life for the first time. The adjustment to remission was both joyful and challenging. Tyler had to learn how to exist without the structure of treatment schedules, had to rebuild his immune system, and had to figure out how to relate to peers who hadn't experienced what he had been through. 6 months after his Family Feud appearance, Tyler was playing on his high school's tennis team, maintaining a 4.0 GPA, and had been elected to student government. He had also started dating a classmate named Emma, who told him that his bald head made him look distinguished and strong. Tyler began speaking at pediatric oncology conferences and treatment centers, sharing his story with other children fighting cancer and their families. He kept Steve's jacket as his most treasured possession, wearing it to speaking engagements and medical appointments as a reminder of the day his life changed forever. Cancer taught me that every day is a gift, Tyler would tell audiences. But remission taught me that gifts are meant to be used, not just appreciated. I'm not just grateful to be alive. I'm determined to live in a way that honors everyone who helped save me and inspires other kids who are still fighting. 3 years later, Tyler was attending Stanford University on a pre-med track, maintaining his goal of becoming a pediatric oncologist, and Dr. Kim had become not just his former doctor, but a mentor who guided his academic preparation for medical school. The episode became one of the most watched and shared in Family Feud history, sparking conversations about childhood cancer research, the importance of hope during medical treatment, and the strength of families facing serious illness. Tyler's moment of removing his wig on national television became an iconic symbol of cancer survivors reclaiming their identity and refusing to hide their journey. The lesson that 14-year-old Tyler taught that day extends far beyond cancer or medical treatment. He reminded the world that hope is not naive optimism, but the decision to keep fighting, even when victory seems impossible. That strength is not the absence of fear, but the choice to continue despite fear, and that survival is not just about staying alive, but about living with purpose and joy. Steve Harvey learned that day that the most powerful moments in television happen when you're willing to celebrate not just entertainment, but real human triumph over seemingly impossible odds. Sometimes a game show host can do more than make people laugh. Sometimes he can help people celebrate the kind of victory that proves miracles still happen. Dr. Kim and the medical team learned that their work extends beyond treating disease to restoring hope, and that the moment when a patient transitions from fighting for their life to planning their future is sacred and deserves celebration. Because that's what hope looks like when it's vindicated. Not just relief, but the explosion of joy that comes when someone who fought to survive gets to start planning to thrive. That's what strength sounds like when it's rewarded, not quiet endurance, but the confident voice of someone who conquered their greatest fear and lived to help others do the same. And that's what happens when a teenager's deepest wish meets medical science and human determination, proving that some battles are worth fighting for years. Because victory, when it comes, transforms not just the survivor but everyone who witnesses their courage,